showing me. Haley's showing me. Makia's showing me. Enrique's kind of showing me. Ryan is showing me. Jamie's showing me.
Mr. Lee, do you want to make sure that they know which number stories it is, because maybe they're confused? I don't know if it's in the independent.
So today is Mr. Leaf. The number story is about Mr. Leaf. Mr. Leaf. Daniel, you shouldn't have a question because you had it yesterday. So that's the one that we're doing.
Yes, you do, Ronnie. It's the same one that I screen shared. I'm gonna share my screen one more time. Sorry, Mr. Lee, but you can continue talking. I'm just gonna make sure that they know where it's at. This packet, Scholar Independent Work, week of 3/23/27, and then the Mr. Leaf one is it for some reason it says it's on Wednesday, but it should just be Mr. Leaf bought apples. I'll keep this up, but Mr. Lee, go ahead.
Thank you. All right, so we should all be there. It says I'm scanning through. I should see us all there. I'll give us another 10. Casey's showing me that he's there. Giselle, do you have it? Simon? All right, so I saw Cece was eating. She was eating some pineapples. Was that what you were eating before, Cece? I lost you. I can't find you anymore. Cece, were you eating pineapples before?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that your favorite fruit?
Yeah.
Yeah, Haja, what's your favorite fruit?
Me, my favorite fruit is watermelons.
Watermelon, okay. Someone who hasn't said much today, Karen, what's your favorite fruit?
I like blueberries.
I don't know. What's your favorite fruit, Karen?
Okay. I think blueberries are my favorite sometimes.
Blueberries. Okay. Ronnie? Takis?
Yeah. It's not.
Miss P, go ahead.
Stop. I'm just saying, like, Gabby's prepared with props. She got props with her for this.
Does she? Where is she? Can you unmute her?
Gabby? Are you gonna crunch really loud?
Oh, she's eating an apple. Nice.
Who said Takis?
Who else?
Ronnie? Get out of here, Ronnie.
All right, so today we're talking about fruit, and someone, Mr. Leaf, apparently his favorite fruit is apples because he bought a lot of them. All right, so what I want us to do now, let's take a look at our problem. You should have it in front of you, ready to go. Would someone like to volunteer to read it for us? Shailene.
Okay, so Mr. Lee brought 3.5
Does that say 3?
pounds of red apple.
Shailene, what number does it say?
37 and 1. 37.
Okay, go ahead.
Pounds of red apples and 22 3/4 pounds of green apples. The apples cost $1.25 per pound. How much money did Mr. Lee spend on apples?
Thank you, Jaylene. Jaylene, since you're unmuted already, as good mathematicians, what should we do first?
Marcy, give me your laptop.
So the first thing that we should do is read. So we already read. Now we just have to like interpret what it's like telling us.
So we need to identify what the question is asking. And Jaylene, what is this question asking us to figure out?
The question is basically asking us the amount of money that Mr. Leaf spent on red apples and green apples together.
Okay, so Jaylene did a very good job of putting that information together for us. Claire, you want to add on to that or restate it in your own words? I don't know why the unmute function just works when it wants to. Hold on, Claire. Claire, go ahead.
I could restate it by saying that he had a certain amount that Mr. Leaf likes apples, so he got 22 3/4 pounds.
Without saying the numbers in the problem, Claire, tell me what we're trying to figure out.
We're trying to figure out how much he spent on buying the apples.
Okay, Benaya, what are we trying to figure out in this problem?
We're trying to figure out how much fruit he has left.
No.
Mm-mm.
Benaya, are you with us?
I can't find the thingy, the number storage
All right,
thing.
so for all of us who don't have it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the question in the chat, okay? However, listen, even if you don't have it, make sure that you are actively listening, that way you can follow along. Ms. P, would you be able to just copy and paste the question into the chat for me, please? Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. P, were you doing breakout rooms? If Ms. Paz?
No, that's Miss Alexander.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Ryan, can you tell me what's happening in this problem? Or what are you trying to figure out?
So in this problem, we're figuring out how much money Mr. Leaf spent on apples.
We're trying to figure out how much money Mr. Leaf spent on apples. All right, so let's talk about that action that's taking place within this problem. So what information do we know? What do we know? I'm going to give you the next 10 seconds to think to yourselves. Ronnie, you should be. Coming back in 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, in 1. Zainab, go ahead.
We know that there's 37 1/2 pounds of red apples, and there's 22 3/4 pounds of green apples. And we also know that the apples cost $1.25 per pound.
Okay, Nashla.
I agree with you, and I like that we also know how much the apples cost per pound.
You know how much the apples cost per pound. So a lot of us are moving around right now and doing other things other than tracking the screen. Okay, let's make sure that we are focused on the number stories problem, and that is it. So Karen is there, she's with me. Haley is there, Ryan is there. Ms. P put it in the chat. She's also sharing her screen that shows the problem, so there's no need to look for anything right now. All right, Jaden Aravallo, can you please, just for those who may not have heard Nashla or Zainab, can you restate what's taking place in this problem?
So basically what's happening in this problem is that Mr. Leaf is buying all these apples, and then we know that these apples cost $1.25, and we want to figure out how much he spent on all these apples.
So Jaden, you say all these apples, so are you saying that he bought like what kind of amount did he buy?
Oh,
Was it like a small amount? Was it large?
it was a large amount.
So it seems like he bought a large amount of apples, right? And I think it was Zainab who told, or Nashla who told us that we know the price of each apple. So my question to you all, right? Well, let's take a look. So we have a green apple. Everybody see our green apple? Thumbs up if you can see.
Oh.
Oh, red apple. Wow, I was looking at the green apple and I said red apple.
You got props too.
And then we have our green apple. Okay, so show me 1 for red, show me 2 for green. Which apple or which color apple did Mr. Leaf buy more of? Show me 1 for red, show me 2 for green. Cece? Brianna, a very simple response. Show me 1 for red, 2 for green. Now, my second question to you, does it matter? Does it matter? Agree, or show me agree for yes. Disagree for no. Does it matter which one he bought more of? Is that at all what the question is asking us? Does it matter, Nazifa? Go ahead, Nazifa.
I don't think it really matters because we're still going to just find how much apples, so we might have to just like combine them.
Ethan?
Just anyway, déjalo que.
Ethan?
Yeah, I agree with you because it doesn't really matter because the question is mostly asking us how much did Mr. Lee spend on the apples, not on how many. Doesn't require. Yeah.
Cece?
I disagree with both of you guys because I think it does matter how much he buys because it's asking us how much money he spent on the apples. So you have to like multiply that by the.
Well, so before you go into strategies, my question is, does it matter if he bought more red or more green? That was the question.
Oh.
Does that matter? That doesn't matter, right? What do we care about in this problem? What do we care about, Enrique?
We care about how much money Mr. Leaf spent on all the apples.
In terms of, right, in all of the apples, right? So this total amount of apples. So now my next question to you, well, Enrique, you can answer this. How much does each apple cost?
Each apple costs $1.25.
$1.25. So one of these costs $1.25. Okay, and one of these costs how much, Cece? How much does one of the green ones cost?
$1.25.
$1.25, right? We know that all the apples cost the same amount. Okay, so when we go into our strategies, right, we don't need to get hung up on which apple costs more, how many apples, how many red versus how many green there were, right? We've identified that all apples cost the same exact amount. Daniel Mensa, coming to you. Go ahead.
So, can you please repeat the question?
Can I repeat what question?
The question, because you said you were coming to me.
You raised your hand, so that's why I came to you.
I wasn't raising my hand.
Okay, all right. So I'm moving on. Or moving forward, rather. All right, so now we know what it is that we need to do. So we're trying to find, Haley, what is it that we're trying to find?
We're trying to find how much money he spent on all the apples.
On all the apples combined, right? So this total amount of apples. So this is a multi-step problem. We need to make sure that we identify those things and we need to put that into our number sentence. So I'm gonna come to someone to, again, just quickly explain to us what's happening in this problem, Elhaj.
So Mr. Leaf is buying apples, and he bought 37.5 pounds of red
I don't want you
apples.
to read the problem. I want, based on our conversation that we've just had, what is taking place in this problem?
So Mr. Leaf is buying apples, and we're trying to figure out how much he spent on all the apples.
On all of the apples combined. All right, so my last question for you all, right? Based on what we know he spent $1.25 on all the apples, and we know he has this grand amount of apples. So based on that, do we think he spent more? Show me one for more, show me two for less. More or less than $50 on apples? I think he spent more. For me, thumbs up for more, thumbs down for less. More or less than $50 on apples? Jada Stewart, sit up. Cece, you say less. Why?
I'm saying more.
You changed because you at first you had thumbs down. Okay, tell us why, Cece.
I think it'll be more than $50 because
Giselle, all right, make sure you're ready to respond to Cece. Go ahead.
Because even without the fraction of the pounds, 37 and 22 together would be way more than 50.
So but we know that the apples are in fractions, but what is the cost in? What do we know? The cost is what?
Is
Sorry, Cece. Go ahead, Nashla. Nashla, go ahead.
It's a decimal.
The cost is in a decimal form. It's a dollar form. Okay, so there's some additional work to be done there. We have to identify that relationship as well. All right, so now we're gonna move into our breakout rooms. Okay, we'll be back to share our strategies after we share within our rooms.
Hi.
Hola. ¿Cómo
Hi.
es?
You can't hear me? Sorry. I said if you're able to send me your number sentence to chat me your number sentence privately, can you chat it to me privately? Yes, Brianna?
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, Brian.
How do you put a fraction?
I
The
typed it in
type of
before. I would do
fraction?
3/4 for like a fraction. Oh, sorry. I just typed that to Brianna. I meant everybody. So like 3/4. Great, Haja, go ahead. Go ahead and get started. Okay, Brian, I don't see you working, so you need to be working. Nashla?
I
Go
forgot what 3/4 is as a decimal.
What do you think?
75.
So so we think about it in terms of quarters, in terms of like money. So if a fourth is what? 1/4 is what as a decimal, Nashla?
20.
Alaska? No.
25 cents.
Yeah, and then 2/4 is what?
50 cents.
And then 3/4 is what?
75 cents.
Right. So
How do you convert $1.25 into a fraction?
I was just talking to Nashla about that. Think about it in terms of quarters. What's a quarter of a dollar? What's a quarter worth?
25 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so then 2/4 of a dollar is what?
2/4 of a dollar is 50.
And then 3/4 of a dollar is
75.
Yep. So think about it in terms of quarters. Yep, everybody who sent me their thing is right. You can go ahead and get started. Haja?
I got the answer.
Okay, can you private message me?
Okay, I know exactly.
Okay.
Alhaj?
I don't understand how you can turn a decimal into a fraction because I'm trying to multiply 75.5 by 1 and 25/100.
What did you say?
I don't know how to multiply 75/2 by 1.25.
What do you mean you don't know how?
Because can you turn a decimal to a fraction?
Yeah. I want you to
But
try it out, Alhaj, I want you to try it out.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's 1.25 in the fraction?
Okay, so I went over this with Sawa and with Nashla. Use your knowledge of quarters to help you. What's 1/4?
25 cents.
What's 2/4?
50 cents.
And what's 3/4?
75. Oh, wait. What? So it's don't know.
Well, what do you mean? You just said it.
Wait, so what's the number?
Danny, you're close, but you missed a part. Haja, you're
75.
right, but think about it in terms of money. So money wouldn't have 4 decimals, right? How am I going to turn it to a dollar amount? Yes, Alhaj, sorry, go ahead.
So it's 3/4.
What's 3/4? I don't understand your question.
75/2 times 3/4.
Why is it 3/4? What's 3/4?
75.
75.75 is equal to 3/4, yes.
What about 75/2?
75/2. What do you 75/2 would be 75/2, and then you would need to divide it. Alhaj, I want you to think about what's going on there. No, Haja, your answer was right. Your answer's right, but I'm just saying, like, round it to make it a dollar amount. But you gave me a different answer. This first answer you sent me, this one, is correct. But how do we round it to the hundredths place? I'm gonna listen to Haja right now. Haja, how do we round that?
You could take you take the 3 and you
I want you to round it to the 1. To 0.31.
So the 1 will turn the 2/5 to 0. Right? The 1 will
really matter.
So it'd be 76.
No, I'm not telling you to the nearest dollar. I'm telling you to the nearest hundredth. What's the hundredths place? What number is in which digit is in the hundredths place?
1.
Yep. I'm gonna round it up or down.
3,100.
How did you do it?
So it'd be 3,100.
type to me how you did it?
Like how I got the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So I did 37 plus 22 and I got 60. And then I did 2/4 plus 3/4 and I got 25. Like, basically, I knew 1/4 was 25. 2/4 was 50. And yeah, so I added 2/4 plus 3/4 and I got 25 left. Then I added the 1 to the ones place. And when I added 7 plus 2 plus 1, I got 10. And then I brought the 10 to the 1 to the 100th place. I mean the 10th place. And I did 3 plus 2 plus 1 and I got 60. So I got 60.25. And then I did 60.25 times 1.25 and I got 75. And 75 and 3,125 hundredths.
Thank you, hon. Akia, did you get it, Akia? Okay, go ahead.
I got, that's it.
Can you type it to me? Oh, okay, that's too much. Check your work.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Nashla?
I got an answer, but it's less than 50.
It shouldn't be less than 50.
Yeah, I know.
Double check the work.
Wrong.
Simon?
I got $75.
Okay, can you type it to me, please? There's a decimal, so that's the right. Okay, can you type it to me? Salwa, I know you're confused, but I need to see evidence of work on your paper before I help you. Do you have a number sentence, Salwa? Salwa, that's the right number sentence, so what are we confused about?
I did 60 times, so I did, I added 37 and 37 and a half plus 22. And I got 59 and 5/4. Then I converted them to 60 and 1/4. Then I did 60 times 5 equals 300.
Times 5. Why times 5?
Because I got 5 by the $1.25.
Yeah, but that's not a 5. That's a 0.05, not a 5.
Oh.
Right. If you're gonna break it up into place values, make sure the place values are correct. Yes, Alhaj.
I'm done dividing and I got 37 and a half.
Why are you dividing?
Because you told me to divide.
I didn't tell you to divide anything. I just
told me to divide
75 over 2. You said,
yes, I did.
What does 75 over 2 mean? And I was like, that would be 75 divided by 2. I didn't tell you that that's the answer. I don't know where
I'm so confused.
What's your number sentence, Alhaj?
My number sentence?
I don't see that you typed it to me. So how am I supposed to help you if I don't know?
I forgot.
Okay.
My number sentence is.
Can you type it to me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, type it to me. Brian?
Is the answer 7,531.25?
Check your decimal. Brian, did you just do an algorithm?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, that's what I did.
Just like you just did it regularly? Okay. Sala?
So I got 300 cents, but then I did 1/4 times 0 and 5. Then I did 1/4 times.
It would need to be either a fraction or a decimal. It can't be both.
Yeah, and then after I got 300, I converted 300 cents to $3. And so I don't know how I convert the 1/4 times 5 cents.
Okay, no problem. Let me go on.
1/4 times 5. So you would have to make it a decimal. So 1/4 would be 0.25.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're back. Daniel Mensah, can you send the answer to me privately in the chat, please? All right, so I think that there was some good work being done. I think that most of us were able to, Daniel Mensah, your decimal is off. You can move your decimal, figure out the rule to move our decimal, then you'd have it correct. But I think that, right, a lot of us were able to figure out the total cost of apples, but then we got tripped up, okay? So this is where that additional practice comes in, and we have to remember those strategies that we used earlier in the year to solve these problems, right? So if you guys could just stop messaging me answers. We're gonna go over it now. Do you have a question?
No, I wanted to share.
Yes, you're gonna be sharing your strategy. So I'm gonna spotlight your camera. Can you hold up your work for us?
It's not this one, it's this one.
Okay. All right, so a lot of us again struggled on the second half of the problem, so I want to make sure that we are paying attention to how that she explains her strategy to us.
So at first I did.
Hold on, Haja, 1 second. So we need to be able to see your paper, so can you hold it up a little higher? Okay, all right, so thumbs up if you can see Haja's paper. Thumbs up, Giselle. Can you see Haja's paper? Claire, can you see Haja's paper? All right, Haja, go ahead.
So first I did 37 2/4 plus 22 3/4, and I knew that.
Can you tell us where the 37 2/4? Actually, let me ask someone else. So Jamie, where did Haja get 37 2/4 from?
Haja got 37 2/4.
No.
We know that 1/2 is equal to 2 2/4. So she had to make sure that her fractions had the same denominator before she could add them.
Haja, is that why?
Yep.
Okay, so you knew that 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. We converted that, right? Because in order to add fractions, you have to be equivalent.
Yeah. Then I did. Be quiet. Then I did 2/4 plus 3/4, and I got 6/4. But then I knew that 6/4 was equal to 1 1/4, and I knew 1/4 was equal to 0.25. So I brought the 1 in the ones place, and I got 2.5.
Wait. Okay, can you explain that to us one more time? Because you did all that math in your head, but I think for maybe some of us, we really didn't get that far. All right, so can you explain that to us one more time?
So I knew 1/4 was equal to 2.5. I mean 0.25. So then when I did 2/4 plus 3/4, I got 5/4, and I knew that 5/4 was equal to 1 1/4. So I brought the 1 to the ones place, and I used the 1/4, and I converted that to 0.25.
Okay, so when you're adding fractions and you move in this question, if someone else knows the answer to this question, you can raise your hand. When you're adding fractions, right, and you add and your sum is an improper fraction, what do you have to do? So Haja's saying she got 5/4. So what is that called when we move something, when we move a value over, right? We have an improper fraction and we need to move that over. What is that called?
Regrouping.
Thank you, Haja. Regrouping. Go ahead.
Okay. And then I did 37 plus 22, and I got 60.
After regrouping, okay? So
Yeah, after
37 plus
regrouping.
22, and you got 60. So Haja, how many apples did he have in total?
60.25.
So 60, and how do we say that in decimal form?
60 and 1 and 25. No, hundreds.
For 60 and 25 hundredths. Okay, so looking at, based on your paper, Haja, I think it's pretty clear to see what you did for the rest of the problem. So I want you to keep holding it up, and to make sure that our classmates are with us, I'm gonna ask someone else to explain what Haja did to figure out exactly how much money was spent here. Okay, so Anthony, go ahead.
Actually, what are you watching?
There is like 75.
Shows.
You got an answer of 75.
And Haja, can you mute yourself so we can hear Anthony?
Okay.
Thank you. Anthony, go ahead.
She got an answer of 75.3 3,125 somethings. And that's the total money.
Well, so we're still at the part where Haja got her total amount of apples. So after she got 60 and 25 hundredths worth of apples, what did she do after that?
Oh, she had to multiply it by the number of the cost of the apples, which is $1.25.
Thank you. Okay, Haja, Haja, you there? Haja, you there? Okay, Haja left us. All right, so El-Haj, now what value did Haja get when she multiplied the total apples by the cost of each apple?
She got the total,
Which is what?
which is 75 and what did that say? 25 hundredths.
So 75 and, let's see, Mensa. If someone sees Mensa, can you please unmute him? Because I know he was able to get the answer as well. Mensa, can you unmute yourself? Miss P or Miss Alexander or Miss Paz.
I don't see him. He might have gotten logged off.
Okay. Haley, can you help us out? So Haja got 75 and something, but how should we be stating this answer?
That is 75 and 125 thousandths.
But in this case, we're trying to figure out the total amount of money spent. So how should Haja have recorded this answer? After she got her full decimal amount, how should she have recorded her answer?
In dollars.
In dollars. So if you were to say this answer, if you were to give me a dollar amount, what would you say, Haley?
I would say 75 and 3,125 dollars.
When we use dollars, right? We only round to two. We only use two decimal places. So how would you say this? If anyone wants to help us out, you can raise your hand. Sawa, go ahead.
That.
Yeah, I just saw a missed call on my other phone.
That I agree with Haley, and I think that it could be 7. I forgot the number that Haja wrote, but I agree with Haley. And I think it should be that because it doesn't make sense because her answer.
Okay, so if we want to round this, so Haja's value is 75, and then after the decimal, right, she has 3,125. So if I want to read this in dollar form, again, I want to eliminate those last few decimals and keep it to two decimal places. How would I state this in dollar form? Go ahead.
Oh, you put this in dollar. Shush! You put this in dollar form by turning into a decimal, and so we do.
Well, so it is a decimal. Okay, so what we're gonna do, Haja's back. So really quickly, Haja, how would you say your answer in dollar form?
I would say my answer in dollar form by converting it into 75 and 31/100ths.
Well, say it. If I said, how much money is that?
$75.31.
Very good. All right. So $75.31.